And welcome into the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com. I'm your host, Jared Dillard. Alongside me is the one, it's the only. It's Brooks Childress. Brooks, how you doing today?
I was about to say, how long are you going to pause for dramatic effect?
I had to build it up.
You know how I'm doing today, Jared?
How are you doing?
If this was another type of show, I'd go on a rant. If this was not a sports talk show, I would go on a serious rant.
A rant about?
Just life. Have you ever noticed that when you are trying to get somewhere and you may be running a little late, one, time moves faster.
Sure.
Like, if you're sitting in class, you're like looking at the clock, you're like, okay, it's 9:21. You sit down, you wait 10 minutes, look back, it's 9:23. You're like, what?
Okay.
But when you're trying to get somewhere, time moves faster.
Sure.
Also, when you're trying to get somewhere, everyone that drives bad or drives slow gets on the road at the same time.
Okay.
That's what happened to me
That
this morning.
explains why you're like 5 minutes late?
Today.
Maybe we should get up earlier. You think about that?
Maybe. We'll explore that options.
Just like a Patriots fan would say.
Listen, we don't... Just like the Patriots fan, we don't get started early, but as we build throughout the day/season, we get better.
We got a lot to talk about on the show. We got baseball picks. We got college picks. We got to talk about some NFL news, some NBA news that's coming up. There's a lot to talk about, and we're going to get started. Brooks, first, let's recap. Let's recap some baseball here. So, the Chicago Cubs and the Oakland Athletics no longer in the fall extravaganza known as the playoffs for Major League Baseball. Now, I believe that when we picked our games, we both picked the Yankees to win. And the Yankees won 7-2 over an A's team that was just overpowered offensively. Let's get to the real story here. I once again am amazing at what I do. And I picked the correct team to win. You picked the Cubs. I picked the Rockies. Quite simply, let's recap this. I think the Rockies just wanted it more.
Yeah. I think the Rockies wanted it more. They haven't been there in a while, like we said the other day. And the Cubs kind of had the mentality coming in where, and I noticed it with the fans, really. I don't know so much the players, but the fans, they're like, we kind of deserve to be here. We won a World Series 2 years ago. We were in the playoffs last year. We were in the NLCS last year.
They're getting too big for their britches, as they say.
But they're like, we deserve to be here. We should be here every year. And the Rockies are like, yeah, that's not going to happen this year.
I mean, quite simple. I truly believe the Rockies just wanted it more. I think it's it's hard for a team to bounce back when you were the number one seed and you lose that one game to where now you got to play a wild card game, and you see the Brewers celebrate on your home field, and that's just deflating. And then you see the Rockies do it the next night, 2 nights in a row. Cubs fans just left the stadium feeling like, what happened?
Yeah, and then the next day, yesterday, Addison Russell's been suspended for
40 games.
40 games.
For MLB's domestic abuse policy. There we go. So, not a great
3 days.
Yeah, not at all.
For the Cubs. But I was thinking about this. You know how the playoff format's set up?
Yeah.
Where the winner of the wild card plays the number one seed.
Yeah.
Because that's supposed to be the quote-unquote easier matchup. I'm not sure if the Cubs had won that game, the Brewers would have had the easier matchup. Because of the two higher seeds, you've got the Brewers and you've got the Dodgers. I think if the Cubs had won that series, that was a tougher matchup than what the Dodgers have with the Braves.
And see, that's kind of why people talk about how baseball needs to change the way they seed teams. They should seed them by record after they clinch the division. So, say in the NL, the Brewers win, Dodgers win, Braves win. Those are your 3 teams. And do they seed them by record at that point?
I think so.
So they seed them by record, but your playoff teams...
Because I believe that the Braves would have been the 2 seed had the Rockies won.
What probably should happen is that they leave that 3rd seed not like posted to a certain division game. So for example, the Brewers and Dodgers had the best records in the NL, right?
Yes.
What they should have did is have the Braves as a floater, and then whoever wins the wild card game determines where the Braves go.
Yeah.
So say the Cubs win, the Cubs will probably have to go to
The Dodgers.
While the Braves play the Brewers, because that's the easier game for the Brewers.
Yeah.
That's probably how you should do it. I'm not gonna say it's right, but if you're the 1 seed and you want home field advantage, you probably want to play the easier team. So
I want to advocate for just no divisions.
No division?
Yeah. You take how many teams are in the playoffs? You got
I mean, there's the 3 division winners. So there's three and then 5.
5 per league. You take the top 10 teams by record and you put them in the playoffs, and you just seed them accordingly.
So there is no split between AL and NL at that point. So what do you do if 2 NL teams reach the World Series, but the AL won the...
Well, the All-Star game doesn't determine home field advantage anymore.
Oh, yeah, I forgot they got rid of that. Well,
so
what determines it? Record now?
Yeah, record.
Okay, that's
it's like NBA. Like if the Warriors and the Cavs get to the
what's the point of the
finals,
All-Star game now?
Fun.
That doesn't sound fun.
It doesn't sound fun, but like the players go out there and they still play. It's not like the Pro Bowl where everyone's just messing around and be like, this is so fun.
Oh,
They're actually
NBA's
playing.
fun. We get to see dunks.
Yeah. And you get to see lobs trying to heal wounds when Kevin Durant lobbed to Russell Westbrook, 2 years ago? Right after the split?
It was just a magical moment.
We thought that would we thought lobs healed all bonds, and then it didn't.
Yeah, maybe baseball should kind of change the way. Does baseball also not have enough teams, it feels like, in playoffs? Like, it's 5 for each division, or each conference, each league, I guess baseball wants to call it, whatever. Is 5 enough?
I think so, because the NBA also has...
I mean, granted, they at least have 4, so...
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the NBA only has 3 divisions per conference, correct?
But the NBA also allows 8 teams per league.
True. I think it could get... you can make an argument either way. I think it'd probably benefit baseball a little bit more to add a few more teams.
I'm not saying they got to go add 8 per league, but I feel like it should open up a little bit because you have teams like the Cardinals who won 88 games, but because their division was so top-heavy, they can't go.
Yeah.
You have teams like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, not the East, and the West the West got their 2 playoff teams in that they wanted. We go over to the AL, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head. The AL West?
Well, like, if you look at just in general, the East and the AL East, you had the Red Sox, Yankees, and then the Rays won 90 games, and they didn't get a playoff spot.
And I believe, go look at the West, the Astros and Athletics won, and the Mariners had how many wins?
The Mariners had 89 wins.
That's good.
And they didn't get a playoff spot.
And that kind of sucks for those teams that you can win 89, 90 games in a season, and you still can't make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's just a tough go. I understand that's just how baseball is, but if baseball added a couple more playoff teams to help out those teams that are, around the 80, 88, 89, 90 win mark, I'd be for it. I think it'd be a lot more interesting, depending on how they format it, right?
Yeah.
So if we had, let's say, they added in, so we have a wild card game now that determines one matchup. I don't know. I haven't really put too much thought into how baseball should kind of redo the playoff seeding. I haven't really thought about it too much. If you have your top 2 teams, okay, and then you had your next 2 teams, and then 2 wild cards after that. So like your top 2 teams pretty much get a bye, so to speak. So you have your 2 wild card games.
Yeah,
that's like a 1-game playoff, and then they play the 3 and 4th best teams who had a third or 4th best record. They play a 3-game series, and then you have your best teams that play a 7-game series, and then another 7-game series, and another 7-game series for the World Series. It's a lot of baseball, and honestly, that probably isn't the best idea. That's kind of just off the top of my head. That's something I would like.
Yeah. I was talking with one of the guys I work with about playoff baseball, and then I made the advocacy for any playoffs should go to, if they don't do this already, top 10. All across the board, top 10 by record, and then just seed them as is. Not like the NCAA tournament, that's fine as is, because that's,
You know what we need? We need a committee. We don't need a Major League Baseball playoff committee.
No.
To see the top 4 teams.
No, that would be horrible. That would go horribly.
Brooks, before we get to break, let's pick these NLDS and ALDS games. Let's start off with, you're sporting them right now. Got the nice shirt on.
Just got it yesterday.
Okay.
No, I got it 2 days ago. This is the first day I've worn it.
Defend the ATL. Can the Atlanta Braves probably do what's probably, outside of the Indians Astros, this is probably the hardest, matchup for the weaker team. Can the Braves beat out the Dodgers?
I don't think so. I like the Braves. I like their young guys. I like what they've done this year. They're a year ahead of schedule, but
a year or two, I would say.
But I just think that I made this point yesterday on the wake-up call. The Braves don't have the experience. You've got guys like Nick Markakis, who's got a little postseason experience. You've got Freddie Freeman, who's got a little postseason experience. But as a whole, and Julio Teheran, but he's not an everyday starter. But as a whole, this Braves team doesn't have the postseason experience that this Dodgers team does, because the Dodgers got to the World Series last year. So they've got to the World Series last year. They're back in the playoffs this year. They've already played a wild card game and a de facto wild card game in game 163. So I think the Braves can take a game, but I don't think the Braves are winning the series on the sole fact that the Dodgers know what it's like in playoff baseball, because playoff baseball is a whole different animal than regular season baseball. So I think it's 4 games. Maybe the Braves can stretch it to 5 games, but I think the Dodgers win this series.
Dodgers in 4 is what I'm going to go with. I think the Braves take one because, and I said this on the wake-up call, that when you pay somebody that much money, the Dodgers, the paychecks are pretty big over there.
Yeah.
When you pay somebody that much money, they're bound to let you down once. The Dodgers will drop a game for whatever reason they do. So the Braves will take 1 game, but that'll be it. Dodgers in 4. Let's go on to the Brew Crew versus the Rockies. Battle of the beers. Got Miller Lite, we got Coors, okay? Who's better? I'm going to take Miller Lite. Give me the Brewers in a sweep.
A sweep. I think the
Brewers are the hottest team in baseball. You win 9 in a row. You got from wild card to number 1 seed. You're feeling yourself right now. Give me the Brew Crew.
Yeah, Brewers are the hottest team in baseball. I think the Rockies are going to be riding high on some momentum from beating the Cubs. I don't think it's a sweep. I think it's 4 games, but I'll take the Brewers in 4. But I think it's going to be a really good series to watch.
The Rockies are the Cinderella team this year. The Rockies, and it would have been the A's. After the Rockies, even though the Brewers are the 1 seed, I can see them being a Cinderella team because they were they 2 weeks ago?
Sure.
Maybe. No. I don't know. The Braves are up there as a Cinderella team, especially if they can dethrone the Dodgers. Not many people like the Dodgers, and the Braves can beat them.
I don't know. The Dodgers are one of the higher odds. I think the Dodgers are 6-1.
Exactly. If the Braves can beat the Dodgers, Cinderella's on the mind. Go over to the AL. Indians, Astros. I believe this is also a lopsided game. Indians have great pitching, but the Astros, they have the world in their hands.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Astros in 4. I think the Indians will take 1 because they just will. Astros in 4, though.
I'm going to say Astros in 4 as well. The Indians just haven't been the same since they lost that World Series to the Cubs 2 years ago. It's a
heartbreaker.
They were the ones to let the curse be broken, and they haven't been the same since. They've made it to the playoffs, but they haven't been the same.
Sports tend to do that to you.
So, yeah, Astros in 4.
And quickly move on. It's the big one. The New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox in a 5-game series in the ALDS. These two teams combined for over 200 wins. This right here is a juggernaut of a matchup. I'm going to go Red Sox in 5. I think it goes 5 games. Boston has to be careful about how they pitch the Yankees. The Yankees, single season record in home runs. I think the Yankees pitching staff can let them down sometimes, and Boston can capitalize playing, usual baseball. The war of attrition, just getting players on base. I think Boston does that well. I'll take Boston in 5.
I'll also take Boston in 5. For the sole reason, here's my reasoning for taking Boston in 5. I was watching that game last night. There was a Yankees fan there that said, "We want Boston." Had a sign that said, "We want Boston."
They were chanting it. They were chanting, "We want Boston" during the game. In the 6th inning, by the way.
They're going to get Boston. They want Boston. They're going to get Boston. It's going to be a 5 games. It's going to go to 5 games, but Boston's going to win this series.
Do you remember last spring where we kind of set up what would happen in the postseason between the Yankees and Red Sox?
Yes.
It was the ALCS of Game 7, but this is the closest we're going to get. And I said a fight will break out in Game 5 when somebody gets hit by a pitch. I just want to bring that up because that is still possible that it happens.
So are you still going Game 5, or are you going like Game 3 to this time, which would be kind of an equivalent of a Game 5?
Well, I would say it would happen in Game 7 if they were in the ALCS. So the last game.
I see.
So in Game 5, somebody's going to hit by a pitch. And I said what's going to happen is somebody's going to hit by a pitch and Mookie Betts is going to hit a walk-off home run in Game 7. I just want to bring that up because if it happens, I'm a genius.
When is Game 5 of the series?
No idea.
Hang on. Yankees Red Sox, Game 5. It's going to be next Thursday.
Thursday, October 11th. That's also the same time as tip-off at Tumors.
Ooh.
Yeah, that'll be a good day for everybody.
I need a computer out there with me.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. The game won't be during tip-off at Tumors. That's what I was thinking about. Like, the game won't be during.
Okay, I got you.
Maybe during the actual tip-off game. But it depends. I guess it also depends on the time. I don't know.
I'm just going to have my phone out there with me.
Look, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to do our college football picks.
I'm back this week. Don't
Brooks,
worry.
you gotta claw your way back.
I'm going to. It's going to be fine.
You listen to the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com. And hey, if you can see our faces, that means you can see us on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6, EagleEyeAuburn.com, or public access, Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6, inside the city of Auburn. We'll be back right after this.
This is a place where it only takes a second to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis!
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And welcome back to the Xtra Point here on WEJ on 91.1 FM or online at WEJFM.com. If you want to catch us anywhere on social media, you can look at our Twitter handles, The Real Brooks C for Brooks Childress, and for me, at Jared_Dillard.
Not the fake one.
Yeah, not the fake one, the real Brooks C. And if you want to catch us and see what we actually look like, you can catch us on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 or online at EagleEyeAuburn.com or Eagle Eye TV's YouTube page. Brooks, it is time for our college pick'em.
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready to get back into this.
I'm trying to think of the records off the top of my head. I believe I am 35-16. 36-16.
You are currently 34-16.
I am 34-16. You're 31-19.
This is the week
you are 3 games back.
I'm climbing back today.
Brooks, let me tell you how popular I am in picking games.
Wait a minute.
Okay, so
Did you get in the... You didn't.
In the Plainsman pick'em.
Oh my gosh.
Your boy. No, I had to pull up the newspaper. This is great for everybody who's watching live. Your boy is on the Plainsman pick'em for this week.
Did you bump Carl?
I don't know, man. They just wanted me. When you go 18-2 in 2 weeks and 10-0 last week, people notice.
I can't believe you got into the Plainsman.
And I kept it a secret from everybody. That way on Thursday I could walk in and hit people with newspapers.
Ow.
All right. People notice when you're good at pick'em.
Well, they'll take...
I made it. This is the promised land.
They'll take notice this week when I blow you out of the water.
Are you ready?
Yeah, unless we all pick the same games like we did last week.
That is true. There was no margin for error right there. Brooks, because I am in the lead, I will go first.
Okay.
So I can't match your pick.
All right.
To stay in the lead.
I like it. I like it.
Brooks, the first game we're going to pick in college pick'em. LSU on the road against Florida. Now, I'm going to pick LSU for this sole reason. They have SEC Offensive Player of the Week, Joe Burrow, at quarterback. And if Florida can only score 13 points on the road against Mississippi State, they're not going to do much better against LSU. And if LSU's offense can keep producing the way they have, especially against Ole Miss, granted, I know Ole Miss doesn't have a great defense. Mm-hmm. And Florida usually has a pretty good defense. And I know it's at home. But LSU showed that they can score points. And I believe they'll score enough in order to beat Florida in the swamp. So give me LSU.
As Lee Corso would say, nice pick. Nice pick. LSU and Florida are two very similar teams. Usually this time of year, you're starting to get it cool, like the weather's starting to cool down a little bit. When I walked outside this morning, it was a nice little crisp in the air this morning. But not in Florida, not in Gainesville. It's always hot and muggy. And you're like, okay, that takes a toll on teams, but LSU's also the same way. It's always hot and muggy in Louisiana. So LSU's a 2.5-point favorite right now on the road. Felipe Franks is a really good quarterback. Well, let me backtrack there. He's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback with Dan Mullen. But Joe Burrow and Nick Brissett, I think that's a duo that has been plaguing teams. They've plagued 2 top 10 teams so far. They've performed well. They've had their struggles against, several teams, most notably like Louisiana Tech, they struggled against for a little bit. But I think LSU's going to win this game. It's going to be closer than what people think, but LSU's going to win it.
Up next, top 15 Kentucky goes on the road to play a Texas A&M squad. This is probably the most up-in-the-air game that there is. I believe A&M is favored by how much?
They are a 5.5-point favorite as of right now.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm picking Kentucky on the road, and this is the reason why. Kentucky knows who they are. They got a great offensive line. They got a great running game. The only thing to suspect is Kentucky's passing game. When it's there, it's there. When it's not, it's not. Texas A&M, on the other hand, has had a rough 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You got smashed by Alabama, and you did well against Arkansas for 1 quarter. In the other 3 quarters, you look like a bottom-tier SEC team. I don't know what's going on at A&M, but if Arkansas is any indication, Kentucky will be able to win this football game. Now, Kentucky has to get out into a lead and hold it, but they can do it. Kentucky is a team that held against Florida in the swamp. If you can beat Florida in the swamp, you can beat A&M on the road.
Yeah, especially if it's a subpar Florida. Like, they're kind of a subpar Florida this year. But Kentucky's faced subpar Floridas before, and they still lost for 30-something years.
Yeah, but not this year.
And then this year, it's different.
It's different. That's why I'm going to go Big Blue Nation over the Aggies.
This is going to be an interesting game. The Aggies need a bounce-back win if they want to make this season a success in their eyes. They need a bounce-back win. This is their chance to get a bounce-back win. But the thing about it is I don't trust this A&M defense. Since they've come into the conference, I've never trusted this A&M defense. I think it'll get better under Jimbo Fisher, but this year they don't have the players there. I think it's going to be the Benny Snell show again against A&M. I think I'm going to take even though Kentucky's 13, A&M's unranked, this is an upset pick. I'm taking the Wildcats. Snell, yeah.
Snell, yeah. Let's get on the river, down to the Red River for the Red River rivalry. Texas, Oklahoma game in Dallas. I'm going to pick Oklahoma offense way too much for Texas. I understand Texas has some good wins. I understand that Texas is feeling good. They're, 4-1 now?
They're 4-1, 2-0 in the Big 12.
I mean, if you're Texas, feel good. But Oklahoma's way too much. They bounced back against Army. Okay, they put up numbers on Baylor. Granted, Baylor put up some numbers on them too, but there's no way Texas is that potent on offense in order to put up the same numbers that Baylor does. Oklahoma's offense, way too much. They're going to overpower Texas. Honestly, it'll probably be by double digits. Give me the Sooners.
Oklahoma's a 7.5-point favorite right now. Oklahoma's got the better play. I think Oklahoma's got the better offense. They've got...
You think? No, they do.
They've got Kyler Murray. They've got Marquise Brown. This is a really good offense, but they've struggled recently against Army.
That was 2 weeks ago.
They went to overtime.
That was 2 weeks ago, though. Look at last week.
I think I've been on the Texas's back bandwagon this year.
That bandwagon's been going for about 6 years now.
But this year they're picking up steam.
That's what I said last year.
Texas comes in at number 19 in the nation. Oklahoma's dropped to 7th after starting, top 4? Top 5?
Top 5, top 6. I don't think they've cracked top 4 yet.
This is going to be a shootout. I don't think either team has the dominant defense. If I had to give a defensive edge to someone, I'd give it to Texas slightly. This is where we're going to differentiate, Jared. If this is the one game, this is it. This is the hill I will die on.
Don't do it.
Hook 'em horns. Texas is back. Texas wins the Red River rivalry.
You poor man. I'll give you a chance to bounce back. Next game, the Terrapins of Maryland going on the road to face the Wolverines of Michigan. 11 a.m. kickoff. Michigan, I believe, is a 17.5-point favorite. But Maryland's played well. Maryland's played very well. I don't think Michigan covers the spread, but I do think they win the game.
Michigan's, you said 17.5?
Yes. Michigan struggled with Northwestern, who only has one game who's only won one game this year. So Michigan has shown they can struggle against competent opponents. Maryland's it. If there's a game Michigan struggles in, again, like Northwestern, it's Maryland. So it's a lot trickier game than it looks.
So you're taking Michigan?
Taking Michigan.
Maryland 2 weeks ago beat one of my teams, Minnesota,
Rode the boat.
Pretty handily.
Yeah.
It was like 41-13 or something like that.
42-13, 41-13.
I don't think they win that game. I don't think Maryland wins that game if Antoine Winfield Jr. doesn't get hurt. One of the Minnesota star defenders. I don't think they win that game if he gets hurt. And Minnesota is not the best of teams this year. I'll admit it. Minnesota, I'm a big fan of P.J. Fleck in Minnesota right now. But if Antoine Winfield Jr. gets hurt, I don't think they win that game. Maryland's a decent team. They're better than what people thought they were going to be. They're not a good team, though. Michigan's going to come in off of that Northwestern debacle and be like, we got to win this. We got to win this handily. And they're not going to do that. It's going to be a struggle fest again. Jim Harbaugh will once again, I just want to point out, they struggled again. He is, 4-1 this year? And he struggled against a Northwestern team that is 1-3. And no one is talking about it. There's no chatter in the national media about Jim Harbaugh.
Because when you win, it gets covered up. When you lose, it's magnified.
Jim Harbaugh will once again struggle this week. Michigan wins it, but like you said, they're definitely not covering the spread. They may even have to come back to win this game.
Do you know what the ramifications of this game would be if Maryland wins? Who would your top 3 teams on that side of the division in the Big Ten be? Ohio State, Michigan State, Maryland. That's what you ran into if Maryland pulls off an upset here.
That'd be funny.
That would be the equivalent of Kentucky being second in the East. Oh, wait, they are.
Yeah, I'll follow suit and take Michigan.
Let's go rapid fire here. Boston College, NC State. Games in North Carolina. NC State 23rd in the nation. Ryan Finley has been playing well. Boston College gets torched secondary-wise. That's why I'm going NC State. They can't handle Ryan Finley.
NC State's a 5-point favorite. They'll cover. Boston College got exposed in their last game. NC State's going to win this one.
Here's one that's interesting. If something 2 weeks ago didn't happen. Notre Dame on the road to Virginia Tech to take on the Hokies. Virginia Tech looked really good bouncing back against Duke. Really good job by Virginia Tech. They have a good defense. The offense, I'm still a little bit iffy on. They play well against Duke. They're at home. They should play well, but Notre Dame found their quarterback. The only thing I'm worried about Notre Dame is their defense. They can give up a lot of points to teams they shouldn't. But I think Notre Dame can go on the road and win this big game.
It's going to be a hype environment in Blacksburg. Notre Dame is a 6.5-point favorite. Like 2 weeks ago, I would have said this game could go a whole different way. But with Josh Jackson out, and so you have a backup quarterback in for Virginia Tech. Notre Dame, like you said, found their quarterback. I think that Virginia Tech's defense is going to keep them in this game. But I think Notre Dame's going to pull away late, and I'm going to take the Irish.
Brooks, I'll let you choose this one. This is a freebie.
Okay.
We can pick either Missouri, South Carolina, or Indiana, Ohio State.
Missouri, South Carolina.
All right. We'll pick Missouri, South Carolina.
I want them.
It is in South Carolina, but Missouri is a good team. They played Georgia close. They had a lot of mistakes. I think they shored those mistakes up. Drew Lock, I'll go ahead and say it, behind Tua, second best quarterback in the SEC.
I don't think you get much argument.
Missouri wins on the road against South Carolina. South Carolina's not as good as I thought they would be. They didn't grasp the brass ring by trying to beat Georgia.
Missouri's a 1.5-point favorite on the road.
It's a push. Like, this game's close.
I think South Carolina came into this season overhyped. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to beat Georgia. They could beat Georgia. No.
They had the weapons to do it. I don't know what's happened with South Carolina. They still have everybody.
It's the Will Muschamp effect.
Is it Will Muschamp?
I mean, they had the weapons in Florida to win. Did they win in Florida with Will Muschamp? No. They had the weapons in Florida, and now they've got the weapons in South Carolina. I'm going to take Missouri, and they're definitely going to cover.
Auburn on the road to Mississippi State. Auburn trying to bounce back after a couple offensive performances that left a lot to be desired. Will it be 2008 all over again? Will it be 3-2? Nah. Auburn wins by more than 10. I'll take Auburn, but I don't feel good about it for some odd reason.
Auburn's a 4-point favorite right now. This game has the potential to be not ugly, but a really low-scoring game. because both teams have a decent. Auburn's got a top defense. Mississippi State's got a really good defense. And both offenses we've seen struggle in the past few weeks. I think that both teams are going to fix some things. I still think this is going to be a defensive struggle. I'm going to take Auburn, and it's going to be a slight win again.
Next big one, we're doing a Big Ten special. We got Iowa on the road to Minnesota.
Row the boat.
Can P.J. Fleck get a big win in Big Ten play against one of the best defenses in the country? Brooks, unfortunately, I can't row the boat with you today. I'm going to have to say no. Iowa, one of the best defenses in the Big Ten. The big thing about Minnesota, third down conversion rate, 35%. They do not know how to convert on third down. And Minnesota's a little bit banged up. I know it's at home, but Iowa, when it's a close game, it's like a 9-7 Iowa will win these games. I'm picking Iowa.
Iowa's a 7-point favorite. I'm in your situation now. Like last week, you wanted to pick Syracuse, but you didn't. I'm in that position this week. I really want to pick Minnesota.
Do it.
I really want to pick Minnesota.
Do it.
But I know in my heart that they're not going to win this football game. They're too young. They've lost key defensive players. They've got a true freshman starting quarterback, and you're at home, but you're welcoming in one of the most experienced teams in the Big Ten with one of the most experienced coaches in the Big Ten. I've got to take the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Brooks,
I'm sorry, P.J. Fleck. I'm sorry, Minnesota. I'm going to still say row the boat, but I'm taking Iowa.
Brooks, we've struggled for our last game. For a second, I almost had us pick James Madison versus Elon. There's not many good games, so I'll let you do a freebie again.
Okay.
We can either pick Indiana, Ohio State, or we can pick San Diego State, Boise State.
Ooh.
I don't think the Indiana game's such a bad pick. I think Indiana can put up a fight. I think Ohio State still wins by like 30.
Well, then, I think
it's interesting.
That's not a pick.
What's the spread in the Boise State game?
Boise State's favored by 14.
Well, there's no,
at home.
We're out of games, Brooks. I don't know what to do. Let me open up the newspaper, see what we picked here. Like, we ran out of games.
I bet you we picked all the games in the newspaper too.
We have.
Okay.
So I don't know what to tell you right now. I laid out two games. If there's one that you want to pick that we haven't picked, throw it to me. I'm giving you a bone. This is your I guess example of a lucky dog. I guess from pull out from NASCAR right here.
I just don't know. I'm looking at the top 25 games.
There is Arizona State, Colorado. There is that game.
So we could have the freebie in Wisconsin versus Nebraska.
Oh, where Nebraska's going to give up about 60, 70 points?
Yeah.
There is Arizona State, Colorado.
Yeah, we can do that one.
Because that's a 2.5 point.
2.5 for Colorado.
So we're going to do Arizona State, Colorado.
Yeah.
I'll go first. I'm going to go Colorado. They're a good team.
Colorado's a good team. They just jumped in the top 25 this week. But I really like Arizona State. I think Herm Edwards has done a better job than most people thought he would. They're on the road, though, so that's going to be a tough road environment up in Colorado. I'm going to... You know what? I'm going to have to go with you. I'm going to have to take Colorado.
So once again, we only differ on one game.
Yeah, and it's the hill I will die on because hook 'em horns.
Brooks.
Texas is back.
Really?
Yes.
All right. I'll let it go. Once again, we differ on one game. And this time, it's going to be Texas that you want to differ on. Last time, you picked Oregon to beat Stanford. That last week?
No, that was 2 weeks ago. That was like different picks everywhere. Last week, I picked Stanford to beat Notre Dame.
Ah, yeah, so it was Stanford.
Yes.
You picked Stanford to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And you failed.
This week is different. Hook 'em horns.
Brooks, I'm going to try to extend my undefeated streak.
Texas is back.
When we come back, we'll talk some NFL news. You'll listen to Extra Point here on WEG on 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com.
I believe this is a practical world and that I can count only on what I earn. Therefore, I believe in work, hard work.
I believe in education, which gives me the knowledge to work wisely and trains my mind and my hands to work skillfully.
I believe in honesty and truthfulness, without which I cannot win the respect and confidence of my fellow men.
I believe in a sound mind, in a sound body, in a spirit that is not afraid, and in a clean sport that develops these qualities.
I believe in obedience to the law because it protects the rights of all. I believe in human touch, which cultivates sympathy with my fellow men and mutual helpfulness and brings happiness for all.
I believe in my country because it is a land of freedom and because it is my home, and that I can best serve that country by doing justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly with my God.
And because Auburn men and women believe in these things, I believe in Auburn and love it.
And welcome back into the Extra Point here on WEG on 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com. We're getting toward the end of the show, but hey, you can always catch us on SoundCloud and on iTunes at WEG on 91.1 FM. You can catch our whole show, and sometimes you can catch up just a bit snippets. You'll be able to catch our picks by themselves, our MLB picks, our college football picks, our NFL talk, all by itself on SoundCloud and on iTunes. And hey, if you want to look at our pretty faces, you can catch us on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6, EagleEyeAuburn.com, Eagle Eye TV's YouTube page. We're pretty much all over the place at this point.
We're pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere, even when you go open the refrigerator, we're right there.
Yeah, can you get some Rocky Road ice cream next time? Because this healthy stuff's not doing it for me.
Brooks, we don't hide our love and affiliation for some of our favorite teams.
I don't know how you could tell.
For some of us, it's just the way we live. So for those who are watching,
that's how you know we're true sports fans, and we know we follow sports.
Yeah. For those who are watching us,
biased.
For those who are watching us video-wise, you'll be able to see what we got going on here. For those of you just on the move, on mobile, you can only hear us, but just know, let me paint this picture. Brooks with his Defend the ATL shirt for the Atlanta Braves and his New England Patriots hat, and I myself am sporting my Indianapolis Colts polo.
It's a really nice polo, too.
Nice polo. The Colts play the Patriots tonight on Thursday Night Football. And that is why sometimes the opposites attract, I guess. Patriots, Colts.
Hold on.
Handsome,
pump the brakes.
Ugly.
Okay, hold on. We'll get to that after the show. I saw this morning. This morning I was watching SportsCenter, and they were talking about the quote-unquote Colts-Pats rivalry. I just want to bring up something, and I was thinking about this while I was watching, this wasn't a rivalry, really, until it was Brady versus Manning. But then, at that point, when it got to be the Colts-Pats rivalry, quote-unquote, it wasn't really Colts-Pats, it was Brady versus Manning.
So what we're saying is the rivalry wasn't Colts-Patriots, it was Manning-Brady.
I'm going to say there was a little bit there that was Colts-Patriots because the fans got after each other about it. But the main emphasis of the rivalry was spawned because of Brady versus Manning. And then, I don't know if you probably noticed this, once Manning left and went to Denver, the Colts-Pats rivalry kind of went down. It was kind of it's where everyone's oh yeah, it's still a thing, it's still a big rivalry, but it doesn't have the same sting.
But I will say this, Josh McDaniels, Patriots OC, was going to be the Colts head coach.
Was going to be.
Walked back on it. Frank Reich comes in from Philadelphia. He's the Colts head coach now. And you got to remember what Colts GM Chris Ballard said about the whole Josh McDaniels thing. Remember that press conference, Brooks, where he said the Colts-Patriots rivalry is back on and walked off?
But you see, that's what I mean.
This is it.
But that's what I mean.
It.
He said is back on.
Back on. Because it wasn't there for the last couple of years.
Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like Manning versus Brady was the quote unquote rivalry. It was Colts Patriots, but at the heart of it, it wasn't Colts Patriots. It was Brady versus Manning. And then when Manning left, the quote unquote rivalry was maybe still there, but it wasn't as intense and wasn't as fought over as Brady versus Manning Colts Patriots.
I don't know. I feel like the two biggest moments in the rivalry was the 2006 AFC Championship game,
Brady versus Manning,
where the Colts eventually overcame the Patriots on their way to a Super Bowl. And then, hate to bring this up, Deflategate.
Brady versus Manning. No, that was
Andrew Luck.
You're sure. That's right.
AFC Championship game, Patriots beat down the Colts, but Deflategate happens. Everybody starts getting suspended. It was like a whole thing. All right, those are probably the two biggest moments in the rivalry, right? After Manning left and after Deflategate happened, it did go downhill because the Patriots just beat up on the Colts, the lowly Colts. So the rivalry died. But I'm saying the Josh McDaniels thing brought it back. These teams want to beat up on each other again.
Sure. It's going to be a fun one. The Colts.
Now, that being said, the Patriots will win tonight.
Both teams have had their struggles this year, and it's going to be interesting to see. Like the Colts, everyone's criticizing Frank Wright right now because he went for it on fourth down. I'm like, so did the Titans, but the only difference
is play to win the game.
The Titans went for it on fourth down. The only difference is the Titans converted it and the Colts didn't.
Yes, I would rather lose than tie anyway.
So it was a gutsy call. I like the call. Frank Wright is going to have the Colts back soon. On the other side of that, it's going to be interesting to see tonight if the Patriots offense is actually clicked back and clicking, or if it was just we kind of overrated the Dolphins. Because the Dolphins were undefeated coming into that game this past weekend, and then they got trounced by the Patriots.
I think the big thing here is that the Colts will be without Marlon Mack, starting running back, and T.Y. Hilton, starting wide receiver. It's Andrew Luck. It's the Andrew Luck show. Now, that being said, Andrew Luck threw for 464 yards and a couple touchdowns last week against the Texans.
And and one of the struggles for the Patriots defensively this year has been putting pressure on the quarterbacks.
So Andrew Luck, if he can find weapons, he'll be okay. The Colts defense has played well until the Texans game. Deshaun Watson caused problems being a dual threat quarterback. Tom Brady, I hate to break it to you, Brooks, I don't think he's a dual threat quarterback.
What gave it away? His 40 time?
I mean, Drew Brees is. I don't know if you've seen Drew Brees lately.
Well, he can put the spin move on anyone.
But Tom Brady's not a dual threat quarterback. And I don't know if you know about this guy named Darius Leonard that the Colts drafted. But this man's been flying to the ball. Okay?
I've heard about him.
He's a bad dude. Okay? I don't know what this game's going to entail. I think it'll be closer than I think it will be.
Yeah.
But I believe that it being in Foxborough, the Patriots should win this game. The Colts have too many injuries. The Patriots have the better players.
Patriots are getting Julian Edelman back tonight, I believe.
Julian Edelman's back. I know Gronk said it's questionable, but I'm pretty sure he's going to play.
I hope he plays because he's on my fantasy team.
Josh Gordon's playing tonight. I mean, the Patriots have the weapons. Now, if the Patriots do what they did in the beginning of the season and they just can't click correctly, then there's going to be a problem. Because the Colts have proven they can put up points now.
That's the question, like I said a minute ago, was this past weekend against the Dolphins a fluke because we overrated the Dolphins? Or is the Patriots offense actually getting its feet under itself and starting to move?
We don't know. And quite honestly, we're not going to find out until tonight when your Patriots take on my Colts in Thursday night football. That's going to do it for the show today. Thank you guys for either watching us on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6, online at EagleEyeAuburn.com or Eagle Eye's YouTube page, or listening to us on WGL 91.1 FM, WGLFM.com, on SoundCloud at Weagle 91.1 FM, or iTunes.
PJ Fleck, I'm sorry. I'm still rowing the boat.
We're still rowing the boat here in our hearts. But in game picks, Brooks has to catch up. I'm sorry. He has to catch back up. Brooks, guys guarantees, what's going on?
I guarantee that when we meet Tuesday, the Braves will have won at least one game in the postseason.
I'm going to guarantee that come Tuesday, Kentucky will be in the top 10 in the AP poll.
How crazy is Lexington going to be?
After a big win against A&M and maybe a little bit of shakeup in front of them, I think Kentucky will jump into the top 10 after a big win against A&M. That's good for the show. We'll be back Tuesday. Same time, same place. We'll see you then.